Hello, good morning. Rev Rene here for True Thought Spiritual Community. Thank you for joining us for our spiritual inspiration today. And I'm going to invite us to just pause for a holy instant here. And what that means is that we are going to take a cleansing breath. And as we take that breath, I'm going to invite you to allow the body eyes to close. And so in this holy instant, we turn away from the world of appearances and we turn within to cause, to spirit. We turn within to the spiritual eye, that which is changeless, that which is eternal, that which sees beyond form and appearances and sees the truth, discerns the truth, illuminates the truth that sets us all free. That God and I are one. And so I say, peace be still in this holy instant. Peace to the mind, peace to the body, mind. And take a breath and say to the self, peace to my mind. Let my thoughts be still. And in this holy instant, in this stillness, I recognize that God, that spirit, that love is with me, that I live and move and have my being in this presence, that God is my life, that I have no life separate from the creator of all that is, this benevolent spirit. And so I relax in this moment. I allow God to be God. I allow myself to be as God created me. Holy and beloved, perfect and whole, complete already, accomplished already. I invoke the Christ of my being. I invoke the words of the Song of Moses that says, I am that I am that I am. I invoke being the Word of God, the extension and expression. I invoke the Christ name and nature of my being in this moment. And I say, all is well, all is good. And I release this word into the law, and I know it returns fulfilled. Taking another breath, allowing the posture to change and to stand and sit and be in the presence of that which we already are, the illuminating love, life, intelligence of the all that is. Abiding in peace now. And so it is. And so I let it be. Amen and amen. Amen. We've anchored our divine identity in that holy instant. And in that divine identity, we are each that emanation of love, of light. And we are given an inheritance of peace and joy. And that we have called forth this human experience, so that we may remember who we are. And that we have called forth everything in this experience to assist us. That all things work for God, all things work for good. And that which appears to be outside of that becomes a harbinger, becomes a messenger for us to forgive our perception, for us to learn again, for us to see with the spiritual eye, with the divine eye, and not the body eyes, but to surrender into the mind of God that we may see more clearly. It was said biblically that the heavens are higher than the earth, and that my thoughts are higher than your thoughts, than the earthly thoughts, than the thoughts of the ego mind. And so my question then becomes to myself, why do I try to do it alone? And so this conversation today is continuing a thread that we've already started 2 weeks ago, where I claimed and exclaimed that we are the real deal, that what is real about us cannot be threatened, and nothing unreal about us truly exists, and therein lies our peace. And continuing the conversation of Brother T last week when he said that the only thing wrong with us is that we deny what is right with us. You see, both of these statements are pointing to the already accomplished aspect of our being that already is. It's perfect, it's whole, it's complete. We can't add anything to it, and we can't take anything away from it, not by what we do or experience or what is done or experienced to us in this life. It simply is the changeless aspect of us. And yet we're immersed in the changing all the time. Our lives are always in this experience changing. And that change, the changing aspect that we are being called to unify with the mind of God, with our Christ consciousness, to activate the spiritual eyes so that we can see beyond that which is always changing to that changeless identity within us. And so we're going to talk about what we do and how we deal with the decisions in our lives and the anxiety that it may bring up. So here I stand before you. I stand before you where I actually am is I'm standing in front of a green screen. It's a green screen. And my husband, Brother T, who is also our producer here, will project upon this green screen anything that we desire, anything that we think is beautiful. And as I was standing in front of it today, I thought, isn't it funny? Here I am. I'm actually in an office, and it's quite cluttered right now. And I'm standing before this green screen, and it's going to hide the clutter of my life, of our lives right now. I'm standing in a home outside of Nashville, Tennessee. And when we see this together, when we view this together, we will be catapulted to a new home in Naples, Florida. We're moving. We're moving. And today I'm super grateful for this green screen because it is hiding what is the busyness and the mess of our lives. You see, I want you to see something beautiful. I want you to see something orderly. And yet we talk so much about being authentic and being real, right? And so I think, what are the green screens in our lives? What are the things that we put up that anything can be reflected upon it? It's completely neutral. Anything can be reflected on it. And then what do we think that it's hiding? And so for me, I'm just saying we're moving, and you've moved before, I am sure. And, life feels really up in the air. That which was orderly feels disorderly right now in the physical form, in the surroundings of our lives. And as we embark upon a new experience, a new journey, just like you in your life, you have new experiences, new journeys, new days that you are embarking upon. Sometimes we can get caught up in the unknown of what it will be. And sometimes when we get caught up in the unknown of what it will be, we project upon the neutrality of it, the mystery of it, perhaps worry and anxiety. Last week, I talked about making no decision alone, making no decisions alone. And in the prayer, and in our opening, I talked about the higher thoughts of the spiritual eye, of the mind of God. And that the rule in decision-making, according to the Course in Miracles, according to Jesus as Christ, is that we make no decisions alone anyway. We're always making ideas either with that mind of love, that mind of Christ, or we're making it with the ego mind. And I think I asked a couple of weeks ago for you to watch that in your life and to begin to clear the field of any decisions that you believe that you've already made, because what we do is we make a decision already. And then we ask the question, who am I making that decision with? And so what I'm saying is clear the field of the decision-making in our lives and to join first. And we do that every time that we have a conversation here, do we not? And so these things are kind of in my mind, in my consciousness right now, that as we embark upon this mystery and this unknown, that there are pockets, there are places where I have projected an anxiety of this unknown. Now, why would I do that? Why would any of us do that? Most of us are projecting into the future our past, right? Most of us are practicing the only thing that is wrong with us, which is denying what is right with us. And when we do that, when we deny the reality of our being, when we deny that we're holy and beloved children of the Most High God, and that the Most High and the innermost is one, and that we are one with this. When we deny that, we become anxious. We become afraid because we feel unsafe. We feel uncertain. A new teacher in my life, when I was sharing about some of the anxiety that I was feeling, said that anxiety is in the psychology, in the mind, in the place where there is an absence of God, where there is an absence of love, where there is an absence of remembering that I am the real deal, where there is an absence of remembering what is right with me. That is where there is a shadow or an absence of the awareness of the all presence of God. Those places are those places of anxiety. So as we move our lives, as we move the stuff, as we go through stuff and let go of things, as we pack, as we become uncomfortable with this movement, because what we are accustomed to is changing. It comes upon the backdrop of what I would say a larger picture of the world experience. The backdrop, if you will, the green screen with something that is completely neutral projected upon it. And what I have seen projected upon the screens that I've been looking at and the news that I've been looking at, and moving our lives and going to an unknown on the backdrop of this thing called a pandemic. And the resurgence after we thought, everybody would be safe because we have this vaccine. And what I am seeing is that we have a war that is playing out, and it's between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. And I've spoken in the past about, the masked and the unmasked. And that we have what seems to be another polarity that is playing out in our world. And what I would suggest is that there really is only one pandemic, and it's the pandemic of our mind. And that there really is only one immunity that works, and that is a spiritual immunity. And some may say, well, you're pie in the sky and that can't be true. And I am here to say with every fiber of my being that it must be true. That it must be true. Either God is everything or God is nothing. And that I have made the choice in my life that God is everything, that love is everything. And that those places, those pockets, those areas where I perceive the absence of God or the absence of love, that anxiety becomes the marker for that, or the fearfulness that I might feel. It becomes a place for me to invoke the realness of my nature. It becomes that moment where I decide nothing until I join first with God and with the mind of God. So in the face of the decisions that you're making in your life, in the face of the uncertainties, in the areas of anxiety, of fear, what do? We stop. We stop the argument. We stop pretending that we know anything of this world. And we avail ourselves of the one life, the one mind, the divine intelligence that is available to us always, that is our companion, that is the mind of God from which we make decisions, from which we walk forth, moment by moment, breath by breath. It's not a one and done. You see, we've set it up so we have to continuously practice this. And I'm saying if we don't practice this now, we are lost. And so then the practice becomes simply looking up, looking within, turning to that source. Turning away from the world of appearances and the scariness that it's projecting onto that neutral green screen. And I know that with these body eyes and the body mind, I cannot figure it out. And I would suggest neither can you. And I would suggest neither can anyone. Thus the mess, the war, the accusations, and the fearfulness that is happening now. I say, and I have so much compassion for myself. I have so much compassion for you. No matter what decisions that you've made in your life, I honor them. No matter what, we must honor one another. No matter what, we must see beyond who we think we're seeing and see our brother and sister as Christ. No matter what, now is the time to declare and to believe our principles of truth, that there is only God, that there is only love, that there is only this one divine identity. I look up and I look within because that highermost God and that innermost God is one God. And it is what has been portrayed to us throughout all of the spiritual and human history. I believe that it was Socrates who was deemed and told that he was the smartest person who ever lived. And yet what he said is, yeah, I am. I'm the smartest person who ever lived and I know nothing. And neither does anyone else. And yet what we know is that there is a power and a presence within us. There is a light and an illumination that is available to us all. And I'm saying, let us look up and let us look within and seek that and find that now. An old statement is that energy flows where attention goes. The invitation is to remove our attention and awareness of what is going on and what the appearance is and the way that it's presenting itself and the way that it's projecting upon the screen and the perception that we give it and the meaning that we give it. I'm just going to say, take a break from it right now. Take a break. I'm going to take a break. I'm taking a break from all that is happening. And I'm going to look up and I'm going to look within. And I'm going to remember that God is with me. You know, I think of the biblical stories that we've been told, and in every single one of them, there is the pause and the looking up, not to a God outside us, but to a consciousness above what's happening in the world of form and appearances. There's the looking up. There's Moses who said, who shall I say sent me? Who shall I say sent me to go up against the powers that be? To lead my people out of bondage, to lead my people out of slavery, to lead my people out of sickness, to lead the people to a new beginning in a new land. Who shall I say sent me? And what was spoken is, I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am the real deal. I am that I am, that the only thing that is wrong with me is that which I deny about the I amness that I am. That this looking up and this looking within is what Jesus did before all of the miracles that he performed. That in the name of God, in the name of the Christ, I look up above and beyond the circumstances, because you know what? I can't see clearly in this realm. It's like I'm looking through that glass darkly, but when I look up and I look within, I see God face to face. And it is that which I court in the decisions that I make, the anxieties that I feel, the fearfulness that comes up in the world right now is simply pointing to an absence of God, an absence of love. My brothers and sisters, there is no other. There's no one for us to be against. We must honor and love and respect all. We must trust that those who are guided in certain ways are guided, and that if there is a question rather than attack, let us ask. Let us seek to understand. Let us trust that something grand and glorious is playing out, that our world is showing us another way of being, that we can look up and look within. In my prayer, my opening prayer, I strung together the 3 lessons in A Course in Miracles, and it began with this. And this is our practice. It began with turning. It began with invoking peace to my mind, peace to my mind, peace to my mind. Let it be still. That this body-mind is not capable of navigating this. Moses wasn't capable of navigating the task he was given. Who shall I say sent me? Not this body mind. Peace be to this mind. Peace be to your mind. I will be still and ask, who shall I say sent me? And then I will take a breath and I'll remember God is with me. I live, move, and have my being in this power, in this presence. The food that is given to me, the air that I breathe, the companions that I walk with are all of God. Brothers and sisters, resources and source from the one power and presence. God is my life. I have no life outside of this. This is my divine intelligence. This is the eye that sees. I look up. I look up to that third eye, to that spiritual eye in my prayer. I surrender the body mind. I surrender the body. I make no decision alone. And I ask, what is the truth? And I listen. And I judge nothing and no one that comes before my screen. I judge not myself for what I seem to be lacking to meet the needs of the day. I know that I am being called to attend to something but I don't know the answer of myself. I surrender to Spirit, to God, to this third eye, and I walk forth from here. I release the anxiety, I release the fear, and I trust in God. Thank you for letting me share this with you. This is my process as my beloved and I leave this space, as we go to another space, as I view the backdrop of the world, which lately has been breaking my heart. It's been breaking my heart. And yet it's cracking it wide open because it's calling me to that surrender, that allowing of the good that I know is seeking to teach me something new. And so know that your brother, your sister, the world, those who are reflected to you are not different from who you are, what you are, and how you serve. Let us love one another. Let us walk forth fearlessly, and let us look up and look within to that spiritual eye that guides us perfectly along our way. I love you. God bless you. Have a beautiful day. And walk forth joyously and happily, because all is indeed well. All is well, and so it is. Amen.